You have your roots in animation and in special effects, don't you?
Yeah, I used to do a lot of short animated films involving claymation and mixing it with live action. When I was a child, I used to do Super 8 films, like with an old 8 millimeter film camera. And, so yeah, clay animation, that sort of thing was always something I was into. Anytime you're mixing fantasy creations with reality, that's something I dearly love. I'm a big fan of like Ray Harryhausen movies and
Yeah.
things of that nature.
I had the pleasure of knowing George Paul before he passed away. My aunt was June Foray, the voice actress, and
Oh my gosh.
she was the president of ASIFA, the Animated Film Society, and I, meeting George Powell, War of the Worlds, and of course, um, the stuff he did. He's just amazing, and
Yeah.
it takes a very special person to have that kind of control. One frame at a time.
Yeah. No, and those films, I mean, War of the Worlds, that's a favorite of mine as well. And you know, the what was the other one? The one with the planets, the planet crashing into the Earth, the
When worlds collide.
when worlds collide and
Yeah.
that stuff. I mean, yeah, I grew up on all those movies. As you
And
can see,
Harryhausen,
into them, yeah.
Harryhausen is just celebrated everywhere. I mean, of course, Clash of the Titans, and
Yep.
was it the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad?
Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, Golden Voyage of Sinbad, Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger, Jason and the Argonauts, First Men in the Moon, and all of those were influential on me and what I ended up choosing to do. I used to make all these sort of little movies and things as a kid, and then I got into public access television and I would do these horror shows and like a Twilight Zone sort of thing, another show that was influential to me. And then ultimately, I ended up, one of the things I was obsessed with was editing movie trailers. I mean, I loved movie trailers and I became a trailer editor. And that's what I did for 16 years at Lionsgate. And I have my own trailer company. I do trailers for all different places, but I still have a passion to make movies. And fortunately, I made my first one in 2019, which was Automation. It was a killer robot movie. And
I
now
loved
here
it,
we are
by the
with
way.
this one.
Automation was, it's a fun movie, and I'm trying to think. Is it Sadie Katz that was in it? And
Yes, Sadie was in it.
yeah, and again, it was. I love movies where robots go nuts.
Yeah.
Because I'm a fan of the same thing. I knew Rod Serling. His daughter Annie and I are good friends, and
Oh, wow.
yeah, like I said, I was blessed to grow up in Southern California and know all these people. Um,
So you really get it. I mean,
yeah,
because all these people that you're mentioning, these are all the founding, blocks of who I am, in terms of like the stuff I would consume as a kid and, a young adult and still, to this
Forey
day.
Ackerman with
Yeah.
Famous Monsters of Film. I
Uncle
used to go to
Forey.
his house for Halloween, and it was such, and bringing it back like this. See, that's what Space Wars did for me, was bring me back to the 70s, and even a little bit of the late 60s, and go, wow, this is fun. This is like Battle Beyond the Stars, or it made me feel like Ice Pirates was one of the other ones I kept
Yeah.
thinking about.
There were some references to that there. All of those movies.
So I mean, being a lover of this, I mean, doing this work has got to be just pure joy.
It was. I mean, this experience and having the opportunity to work with Michael Pare and Olivier Gruner, and Sarah French was amazing in this as a action hero. But it's just amazing because I grew up watching Michael Pare and things like Moon 44 and the Philadelphia Experiment, and of course Streets of Fire. And here he is, being the space action hero, and he got it. He understood 100% what we were going for, and he has that same love of genre. So it really,
and it's a family film. It's about family and surviving and bringing mom home. And but it does it in such a way that it's exciting, and your animation is spot on. It really looks like, it looks bigger than what it is. I mean, it's really well done.
Well, I have to give all the credit to these guys, Steve Clark and Paul Knott, who were my main special effects guys. They they do a lot of work on a lot of different movies. But when they saw what I was trying to do, their first reaction was, "Wow, Gatto, we love this movie. This is exactly the kind of movie we grew up on Saturday afternoons. We want to work on this." And it just worked out. It was a great working relationship. I mean, because I was able to communicate to them how I wanted the monsters to move and, have a feel. I mean, I would reference things like Angry Red Planet or, Harryhausen movies or Gamera movies, whatever it is, because one of the things I've noticed in a lot of modern films, if you have monsters in them, they tend to move really fast and like jittery and just like slip and slide, and you can never really get a good look at them. So I wanted my monsters to kind of, walk into the frame and have those moments of awe and wonder that, I sometimes feel are missing. Even though we have these big movies with spectacular effects and stuff, there's sometimes a lack of wonder in it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's that digital blur that takes you out of the scene. I mean, I know what they're going for, but I'd like, like you said, I'd like to get a look at the monster, and that's
yeah, absolutely. You got to see the monster.
Now, being kind of an art person, do you storyboard everything as a director?
We did do a lot of storyboards, like the whole my production designer Anthony Pierce is a great artist. So when we were doing like the big asteroid sequence, I'd get on a Zoom call with him just like this. I mean, it was like during COVID, and I'd say, okay, the ship is going to do this and that, and I would draw like little scratchy like drawings, and then he would do these very elaborate drawings. Wow. And then I would actually, cut the action scene with these drawings in them, and I remember it was kind of challenging because, trying to get the pace right. So I would use like temp score, like a James Horner from Battle Beyond the Stars, to kind of get the rhythm of the scene, you know what I mean? And then I would send the sequence to the effects guys, and then they would, do the animation. And it was beautiful, just the translation from the vision in your head to this drawing, and then now you have this fully animated, beautiful sequence. And then there were other scenes that were storyboarded. I mean, it was mainly action scenes that were storyboarded, but there were some where, we didn't have time for me to do a whole elaborate thing with Anthony. He did the asteroid sequence and the opening sequence with the monster coming out of the lava and stuff. But other scenes like the Planet Xeno sequence, I would come in with little stick figures and drawings of my own, and that's what we would use. I mean, and it worked because it really helps speed up the process when you're doing a film like this. You don't have a lot of money, so you don't have a lot of time. So you got to have a vision and act on it quick.
And it was very interesting that your ships, the animation added weight.
Yes.
To the scene, and also to the actual ship. It looked like it was heavy. Yes. The asteroid looked like it was going to, cause damage. And so that's something that I wanted to comment on too, is because it just was great. And again, it brought me back to that little kid, going, wow.
That's exactly how we wanted you to feel. I mean, this is a Saturday matinee movie. I mean, I think so often, like, science fiction and fantasy today, it's either this big, franchise that already exists and you're kind of familiar with everything already, or it's a TV show that's beautifully produced but super dense in the plotting, and it's like you got to watch all 12 seasons, and and it really gets good by season 4 or whatever, and they're all wonderful, I guess, but I just wanted to do something light and simple and breezy. And, that's why I liked films like Battle Beyond the Stars or Star Crash. It was another thing. I mean, I knew Star Wars and I love Star Wars, but I wanted to see the other universes too that filmmakers created, whether
and there's a sense of humor running through yours that we all get because we grew up with it.
Yeah.
And I think some of these movies take themselves much too seriously and then it becomes watching, The Iceman Cometh, it becomes a drama, and I don't want to watch a drama.
Yeah. We were always aware that we wanted to keep this movie light on its feet and moving quickly. We did, and it's funny. It's like a tonal thing. It's like, I guess, a good tone example would be a movie like the 1980 Flash Gordon.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because the characters in that movie are not aware they're in a campy movie. You know what I'm saying? They're serious. It's life and death. I mean, when Flash is fighting Prince Baron on that disc with the spikes, I mean, it's gritty and someone's going to get killed. You know what I mean? There's a real danger there, but it's also kind of like funny, you know, bad guys in masks and, you know, and
Well, they made it for a 1930s audience.
Exactly. Yeah.
In their heads. So,
yeah.
But I was going to say, who gets it is Dean Devlin.
Oh yeah.
He's one of my dear friends, and we were just talking about this because we were talking about the Ark the other day. And you have to have a sense of your audience to do a film like this, because you can't just make it drama. It has to have that human element, and people make fun of danger situations, and it's like James Bond. Of course, it became too campy after a while, but there's a balance, and you hit it just right.
Oh, thank you. It means a lot. Thank you. It was very intentional, all of it.
Perret said he'd be up for a series of these. I would think sell this concept to Netflix or somebody and and do a mini series.
We would be totally game for that. I mean, I also sort of thought about, maybe doing like, a back-to-back sequels, and not again, if I do sequels to this, it wouldn't be the Space Wars saga all building to a certain climax. It would just be another adventure with the characters you like now. You'd advance them a little bit, but it would be a whole new adventure, like Indiana Jones, is, where it's like each film's it's a new Indiana Jones adventure. You know what I mean? It's a new Sinbad adventure, It's not like you got to watch the other one to know what's going on in this one,
Your cast is really good. I mean, we talked about Sarah French. I think she's a national treasure. Michael Perret knows exactly what you want from him. And together they worked really, really well. I mean, I felt like they were father-daughter.
That happened right there on the set. I saw that connection build, and it was beautiful and felt so real. And, when you care about the characters, everything else going on becomes more interesting, and you gotta care about these people in order to go along for that ride, and we knew we had something special in that relationship on screen.
In that vein, what do you think audiences are going to take away from watching Space Wars?
A lighthearted, fun adventure, pure escapism. Just pure escapism, no agenda. This is just fun. This is for everybody. We're not dividing an audience or saying you can't watch this or we don't want you. That's not it. We want everybody. We welcome everybody, and nothing would please us more if you will reach out and try watching this movie. I think you're going to really have a good time with it.
Well, we're going to let people know about it, and I can't wait for Space Wars the musical.
Hey, Parade can sing.
You got to beat a horse to death,
No,
well,
it was so, and also even like the fight scenes, like that was very, you probably it's very old Star Trek. I mean, that's the other part of my heart, old classic Kirk, Spock, fighting in Basquiat rocks type stuff.
Gene Roddenberry's mother was one of my neighbors. And so I knew Gene back. I delivered papers to Gene Roddenberry's mother. And
did you go to Clifton's Cafe in those
cafeteria in West Covina?
Really? You'd go there when like Ray Bradbury and Harryhausen would all hang out there or something?
Well, my aunt was best friends with Ray Bradbury, so I used to see Ray all the time, and just a wonderful guy, just so literate but so fun to
one of my favorite movies is Something Wicked This Way Comes. That was such a wonderful movie, and
it is.
I was blessed enough to see it again I saw it when it first came out in theaters as a kid, but I also got to see it and Ray Bradbury was there at the screening, and I remember he was very pleased with the way that film came out, versus some other adaptions of his work, but that was one he really liked.
Well, I've been a science fiction nut since I read, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea and, the Jules Verne collections and all as a little kid.
Oh, wow.
I had the comic book versions of those.
The classic illustrated.
Well, you bet. Did you grow up in California? I had
a whole bunch of those.
Did you grow up in California?
I grew up in Massachusetts.
Wow.
I was Longmeadow, Massachusetts was where I grew up. And I lived in New York for 4 years when I went to NYU. And then I moved out to Southern California in 92, and I've been here ever since. I spend a lot of time in Vegas. My dad and my son live out there now.
Oh, my
And
best friend lives in Vegas, and he's a not like me, but I grew up watching those. Well, you had them in Massachusetts, and obviously Svengoolie is
oh, yeah.
one of those guys where Rich
I probably
Cos.
know the guy you know in Vegas. It might actually come down to that. We'll talk later.
Jeff Howard is his name, and
okay, I don't know if I know Jeff Howard.
he used to be on
Alan White.
NBC. It was called The Movie Guys, and now he's just got his own show. But
Oh, great.
yeah, back in the day, I used to watch. We had Seymour out here in Elvira, and and it was so great being introduced to those old films and then falling in love with them, because those old black and whites are not being seen anymore.
Yeah. And it was a much different time too, in the sense, like, so growing up a monster kid, I mean, you would look through the TV guide to see what was coming up. And sometimes a movie might be on at like 2:30 in the morning or something. So I'm going to sleep in the afternoon so I can wake up and watch this monster movie, whatever it is, or the 4 o'clock movie, and it's a Gamera week or a Godzilla week or a Dracula week. And that was always like a thrill for me, something to look forward to when I got home from school,
You and I had the same childhood.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. And, and then, to be able to make that kind of movie, though, is just, and and it's funny. I mean, not many people would have attempted to do this kind of thing on this sort of budget and everything. And you realize, as a filmmaker, you got to make what you really believe in and what you really want to do, and that, it may seem crazy to everybody else, but just do it. Find a way to do it and do it.
It's like doing anything. You do it for yourself, and then other people will find it and join your team, so to speak.
Yeah. Oh, and our team, and that's the other thing. The whole team was amazing. I mean, we had Joanna Heckman doing the costumes, and Anthony Pierce doing the sets, and Ted Smith. That guy is amazing. Evil Ted Smith. He built all like our space chairs and the computer panels on the walls and all that stuff. He built the robot in automation,
Cool.
And yeah, we just had an incredible team. Michael Sue with his nice, all these sliding camera movements and everything. And
I actually have Sarah waiting for me, so I've got to go.
Oh, okay.
But I'll tell you what, I've got to find you on social media or something, because we have to talk.
Absolutely. I'm right there on Facebook. There's only one Garo Setian. So actually there's two. There's one in Australia, but you'll know him. He's different than me.
Yeah, he's the ugly one.
Very nice man.
Thank you so much, Garo.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And say hi to Sarah.
and we'll be in touch, I swear.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.